In this video, we will see about spaces and even more in detail. Okay, what is environment? How we are going to create environment? What are the theoretical concepts involved in creating environment? All this. So, space, when it comes to space, it incorporates the physical environment. Okay, it includes perspective, so in which way we are going to look the scene, in which angle we are going to look the environment, the scale, whether how much zoom in is going to have, how much zoom out is going to have, and what scale we are going to look in the object, then boundaries, what type of boundaries we are going to have, where the player can access, and to which part the player can move, so till which part they can access the environment. For example, in Assassin's Creed, the player cannot go beyond the map. Structures, what type of structures we are going to have, building structures, mountain structures, trees, the terrain. So whether the terrain is going to have any water body, okay, so what type of terrain the environment is going to have, mountains, elevation, so the object, it might be anything. It might be props, it might be smaller assets, what type of objects we're going to have, what type of style it's going to have, what kind of color it's going, the pleasant color it's going to have, what type of color, look and feel, everything comes inside the space. Okay, so when it comes to environmental art, it is created using many of same techniques as in character art. Okay, so often it's not animated, but it utilizes some special environmental effects. So same thing with concept artists often sketch out a scene which is related to the game. So as I said before starting up the level design, we'll be sketching it out. So the concept artist will be doing that, which can be reflecting a particular level style. So after that sketch is created, it will be developed by the level editor to build a 3D version of the level. So the editor should allow you to view the world in a multiple perspective, including the player view, the isometric view, from top-down review. So we can able to modify the geometry. So while you place the character in the world, navigate through the level which you have built, we can able to modify what angle I'm going to look the world, what angle I'm going to look the environment which we have created. Okay. So first thing is the camera, the perspective through which we are going to look into the scene. Okay. So first thing is which way we are going to look into the scene. So omnipresent is the first thing. So in the omnipresent perspective, the player has the ability to view the different parts of the game, that is different parts of the game world. So it's not like that he is going to view only the single angle, and even he can take the action in many different locations of the world. Okay, even in the part of hidden, when the part of the world is hidden, he can able to take an action in that particular part as well. Okay, so in omnipresent perspective, the players will be allowed to look in the game from above. Okay, so for example, it might be a civilization. So those kind of examples, we will be looking at the game from above. We can able to control all the things. Even if it's hidden, we can able to tell the particular character to move to that particular space. We can able to say that. Okay, the omnipresent can do that. Okay, so this is one example. Okay, so this image is a hollow wall. Okay, so where it's omnipresent, where we can able to tell the characters to move from one place to another place, which you can see that we can able to control. We are seeing the world from above. It's not isometric, we are seeing the world from above. Okay, so and black white were coin games actually, so it uses the same omnipresence. Okay, allow the character view the player as if they have was above the world game. Okay, that's what. It just that particular game doesn't allow the player to view from omnipresent. It allowed them to view the world from above. So it's like God looking down on the other character. Okay, that kind of impression, that kind of a view is gonna create and tell the player to look into the other characters or the environment in such a perspective. Okay. So in aerial top-down view, so this is the aerial top-down view, that is a aerial perspective that shows the player the game as seen from above, that kind of a bird eye view. So bird eye view we would have seen in drones, using drones we have created bird eye view. So this is one of the popular view for games like original Legends of Zelda and Pac-Man, all these things. Okay, even you can see here, this is a rail tycoon game. So this is kind of a bird view perspective, bird eye view perspective. Okay, it's a kind of a top down aerial view. Okay, it's not the top from the above view, it's a top down aerial view. It's a kind of a bird eye view. Okay, you can see the angle from here. Yeah, so there is many games from which you can able to see the bird eye view. So even in Assassin's Creed there will be a normal first person view, then you can able to move the using V, we can able to create a bird eye E character, key binding different from each other. So when we press that eagle view, so we can able to view the world in bird eye. Okay. So then comes one of the most famous perspective, that is isometric. In the isometric perspective, the player can look slightly across the landscape, that is 30 to 45 degree angle. Okay, the player can look across the landscape with respect to 30 to 45 degree angle. In an isometric world, you can create many different angles of objects and then place those objects on the screen. Okay, so it depends on which way we create the object, in which angle we create the object. Then we can able to place that object in the scene. So it gives you an impression that the perspective view is in isometric point of view. Okay, so we can able to create reusable objects rather than having to create a render them in real time. So again and again we don't want to render the object. Rather than that, we can able to reuse the object which is already created. Okay, so this perspective also makes the player feel closer and more involved with the events that is happening in the world when compared to aerial view and top down. So actually it's a kind of impression which is given to the player, so it makes them involved even more when compared to top down or aerial. So this is actually true. It is being involved. That's why you can see that many games in the recent times, the isometric point of view games has been released. So when compared to other type of games, so they have released many games in isometric. However, the artist must create several usable 4 different versions of objects from different angles that can be used and processed to get a if the camera is rotated. So for example, many RTS and strategy games are created in a 3D isometry without camera rotation. So certain games you cannot rotate. So for example, certain games they can. So but certain times they will not allow you to rotate in every angle. You can view the environment in one single isometric view. So other from different angles they cannot view. So certain games they will allow you to view the environment in all 3D directions. Okay, so we can able to rotate the camera and you can view the environment from different angle, different side in isometric view. So early versions for in SimCity or Civilization were almost entirely aerial, as I said before. So mainly because the hardware, so it doesn't support, that doesn't have enough support for isometric view. Okay, for because when it comes to isometric view, detail which is present is very high. So then these games adopted an isometric view using 2D technology to create a pseudo 3D world, to creating the first playing the scale models and appropriate for process simulation. So this is how they have created a isometric view, a 2D based technology. Okay, so that gives you an impression that you are playing in the isometric view. So this also made a very good progress in when it comes to civilization and so SimCity. So it gives, see, we can able to see the difference. We can able to observe the difference which it gives us. Okay. So then comes side scrolling. So side scrolling or flat side view is another one of the most famous view which is happen to have used in gaming industry. So it's a kind of for example, you would have seen many, we have played many video games, console games when it is with respect to 2D based side scrolling. What happens, the character will be running from left to right or from jump up and down. So they will be fighting, they will be shooting games, or they will be avoiding the obstacles, and they will be reaching a endpoint. Mario is a very good example for this. So they cannot run towards the player or away from the player. So it will be, the view will be following the player. So the actually here there will be working around these limitations. The classic 2D arcade games use the side scrolling to create the illusion of space. Okay, so it kind of gives you a 3D impression. The player character would be traveling from left to right, actually in horizontal space across the scene as the background moved from right to left. So this gives you an parallax scrolling technique which is applied. Okay, so that gives you an impression that the world is is illusion of space, create illusion of space which is used by scrolling. That is a parallax scroll. Okay, so the camera will be moving vertically or horizontally, and with the different layers moving at the different speed, which gives the feeling of depth. Okay, so this is how they have created this particular impression. Okay, so the character will be running from left to right. Okay, so but the background will be moving from right to left. So this is the kind of a technique which we will be calling it a parallax technique. So the camera will be moving either vertically or horizontally because different layers will be moving in different speed, and the feeling of depth will be given to us, which gives us the impression of a real space. We are looking around in a real space. Okay. So then the next topic which we will be seeing is the terrain and materials. So apart from the views which we are going to use in the space, the terrain and materials plays a very important role. So the terrain and space plays a very important role. For example, environmental materials such as metals, glass, sand, gravel, sky, clouds. So this directly influences the look and the feel of the game. Okay, what sky is going to have? Whether the sky is going to have clouds? Is it going to rain? What type of sand it's going to have? Glass. What is it going to have a reflective image? Whether it's not going to have any reflection? What type of metal we are going to have? What kind of texture that metal is going to have? Yeah, all these things plays a very important role when it comes to the game environment, the terrain and the material. A shading model defines how material behaves. Okay, when they are lit. Okay, the shading plays when we are tend to have different light setup, all these things, it plays a very different. It combines the attribute of each material with the texture, color, shining, and translucency. The attribute of light source, including color and direction, which direction the light going to pass. Okay, so what kind of attribute the light source is going to have. Okay, so texture plays a very important role here. The material what we are going to use for that particular metal or any object, whether it's going to reflect, whether it's going to shine, whether it's going to absorb. So all these things plays a very important role when it comes to terrain material. So materials can then be shaded differently depending on the physical attributes. That's very important. Okay, so not all the materials can be shaded with all the different type of shades. The physical attribute also plays a very important role. So terrain refers to the texture that appears on the ground surface, such as dirt, grass, tiles, and pavement. So you can see this is a certain places it's reflecting, certain places it's not, it's dark. So light you can see this light reflects from somewhere else, some surface doesn't reflect. You can see the cloth. So all these materials have a different shape, different textures, different properties, different physical properties, attributes, colors, the material used to construct that, the weight given to that, the mass, the physics, everything. So very good example I can tell you is that a small stone weighs less compared to the big stone. The person who is having weight around 100 will be moving slow compared to the person weighted 50. So everything should be bought in. How we look, everything. Okay. So then comes radiosity and effect. So radiosity and effect is where, so you will be is an effect that is used on game environment. For example, Skyrim, you can able to give a shower, electric, you can send from the player's hand. We can create some other ice effect we can create. So without the proper application of radiosity, players are not able to navigate through the game environment. Okay, so not will be able to see and interact with the details that may determine whether they can progress through the game. Okay, radiosity can also be used to give the effect of reflection, for example, water, glass, and other elements. So other environmental game effects include climate, that is rain, snow, lightning, other natural movements, waves, wind, floating, station, creating through animation. These things are created through radiosity, and this kind of making the scene come alive. So without just a player is going and running here and there, so without having a electric lightning effect, how you can say that the player is using lightning as a weapon? Without telling there is a fire, the fire effect, how you would be telling that the particular object is in fire? So this plays a very big effect in making the scene alive. So you are going to present this particular scene to the players who are playing. Okay, the particular scene to the characters you are playing. You are making that environment see alive. So that is more important. Okay, so you are making sure that using these effects. So using these effects, you are making sure that you are going to create an environment which makes the user to observe this particular environment, making him to feel that he is present in that environment. Okay, that is more important. So this particular radiosity and effect creates that particular effect. So without, if there is a water body, without having any kind of reflection, how you would be saying that that particular body is a water? Okay, so rain, snow, lightning, so wind, waves, everything has a different. Without having a movement, we cannot say there is a waves in the sea. Without wind, we cannot say there is a grass is without making the grass move, we cannot say there is a wind effect. So all these things plays an important role.